weakest thoughts, money driven, major fraud, breathless body, diamond bones, wanna be it, wanna feel it.
Starting off, I just want to say that this isn't entirely my fault. This project was actually kicked off by Hop making a super chat on one of my streams asking for one of these. So blame him. Unless it's really good, then I deserve full credit.
I do want the credit without any of the blame.
Now what we're going to be talking about today is an 11.5 inch mid-length barrel from KAK Industries that they made at my request. Now, I am a dealer for KAK. I have reviewed a lot of their stuff. I've also bought a lot of their stuff. When I have had issues with their products, they have been quick to fix them. So keep that in mind that there is a relationship there. I like them, they tolerate me. You, the end user, though, should be very skeptical and seek out secondary sources if you're truly interested in a buying recommendation. Today, we're also going to be talking about the concept of this barrel as well as the general performance of my specific sample. So what I requested from KAK was a 11.5 inch 5.56 barrel with a mid-length gas system. Why mid-length? Well, that's the longest you can possibly put on an 11.5 inch barrel. Now my sample is obviously raw, the finished products will be melanited. The nice thing about working with KAK is that from the time that I requested the product to the time that the package was laying at my door with the first barrel was 6 days. 6 days from request to delivery. And that is one of the benefits of having your own barrel blanks made in-house with real manufacturing capabilities. Now I am probably going to call this a mini Dissipator, even though no one agrees on what that means. Hop should probably spend way too much time making a historical breakdown of the Dissipator, but until then, feel free to argue about it in the comments section. Dwell time, as I'm using it here, is the time in which there is gas pressure at the gas port, or after the bullet has passed the gas port on the barrel, but not yet exited, which on an 11.5 mid is only about 1.5 inches. Now this complicates things when it comes to timings. With so little time to get enough gas to cycle this system, you really only have two options. One is to make the gas port as large as possible, say 0.110, to allow enough gas into the system to run a wide variety of ammo suppressed and unsuppressed. But that will result in a very overgassed system if you put on a suppressor, and kind of defeats the purpose. That solution almost always requires either an adjustable gas block or some other method of reducing the gas flowing into the system to run properly suppressed. This is going to add some cost and complexity. Right now, I think the Faxon 11.5 MIDI is a perfect example of this. It technically runs unsuppressed, but as soon as you throw on a suppressor, you basically need to have an adjustable gas block. The second option is to have the barrel set to run one specific way, in this case suppressed. This barrel has a gas port size of 0.076. Well, actually 0.075 according to my gauges, but hey, close enough. Now that is the crane spec size for a 16-inch mid, which has about 4 times the dwell time of our 11.5 mid. This system will not run unsuppressed. It's not designed to. Now when we add a suppressor to the mix, we're adding some of that dwell time back with some extra back pressure. Now we get a system that runs beautifully with no tuning required whatsoever. So what we get with this barrel is a one-stop solution to a dedicated 11.5 suppressed system, which is probably one of the more popular length/combos on the market currently. No adjustable gas blocks, no reduced flow tubes, no adjustable BCGs, just the barrel and your suppressor and you're done. Now there are some other things to consider. For instance, your specific suppressor is going to matter a lot since that is dictating the amount of additional back pressure your system is getting. I was running this with a Turbo K and a Resonator K. These are both traditional styled cans with a good amount of back pressure. Both of these caused my systems to run great with just a carbine spring and buffer in the back with basic training ammo. Sponsored by Callaway Ballistics. Go ahead and check them out and use code FOCUS to save yourself some money. If you are using a flow-through style can, that might not give you enough back pressure to actually run the system. But flow-through suppressors reduce the need for special systems to begin with, so this really isn't the right barrel for that anyways. Almost any traditional baffle-stacked can should work just fine, but I did recommend KAK open up the gas port just slightly to about 0.078 to 0.081, just to give the end user a little bit more reliability headroom and the ability to add a heavier buffer if desired. So for a suppressed 11.5 system, this is almost immediately going to give you one of the best suppressed shooting experiences out of the box for anything out there. 11.5s aren't long enough even with a suppressor that you're going to be taking them on or off, and once you start shooting suppressed, or at least for me, you don't really stop, so making the experience more pleasant while increasing the shootability while also having less toxic blowback is a win for me. Now, going over the basics of the barrel, this is going to be very similar to the rest of KAK's line. While mine is of course in the raw unfinished, the rest of the products will of course be melanited 4150 barrels, 5.56 chambering with a 1 in 7 twist. Barrels are dimpled from the factory, threaded half by 28. The profile of the barrel is what I like to call a middleweight profile. It's probably just north of like a Hansen .750, which for me is perfect, especially for a 11.5 shorty. Getting into some of the groups that I shot with the system, I'm gonna go ahead and just let that play out. One note about my accuracy testing, these are always just the groups that I get on that specific day with those specific loads. Also, a couple of caveats I'd like to throw in there is that I was shooting from the hood of my car in the wind, as my spot has gotten so overgrown that I can't shoot from the prone like I would like to. Also, South Dakota wind. But functionally, I think the barrel is as accurate as needed. With just some Callaway Ballistics remanufactured ball, I was able to take it out to 500 yards consistently on a reduced size target using the new Primary Arms SLX Nova reticle with the new BDC. Doesn't line up properly on 11.5, but it definitely gets you out there. So who is this actually for? Well, if you want a barrel that can shoot suppressed and unsuppressed, don't buy it. If you want to use an adjustable gas block, don't buy it. If you want a hyper precision match barrel, don't buy it. If you want a dedicated suppressed 11.5 with no parts complications, maybe. Keep in mind that your suppressor is going to determine whether or not it runs properly, though of course you can always modulate with different buffers or open up the gas port on your own if you need to. Wire gauge drill bits are $3 to $4 each at your local hardware store and incredibly easy to do. So with all that out of the way, I know that this is a very niche product, but I think it fulfills that niche very well. So let me know what you think of the KAK 11.5 MIDI dedicated suppressed barrel. And with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.